We all know that getting a hard drive for your computer is kind of like a turtle trying to pull a chariot. Now that's a really weird analogy, but the point is pretty clear. SSDs are just leagues faster than a traditional hard disk drive. The difference, of course, comes from the fact that a hard disk drive is actually spinning while the solid state drive is just that, solid. But that's besides the point. Despite knowing about this very obvious speed difference, the decision to buy an SSD or a hard drive is actually quite difficult when we're talking about an external drive. You see, the problem boils down to your use case and more often than not, money. Now, if you had unlimited amounts of money, then getting an external SSD is pretty much just a no-brainer. However, use case is very important to remember because it could save you a lot of money and also save you from some headaches down the line. Now, when it comes to a hard drive, the inexpensive aspect of it really points towards it being a more high storage medium. The purpose of a hard drive nowadays is purely to store a lot of data, like backups and maybe even some photos. The issue here is speed. Take, for example, this Western Digital spinning drive that I use. It's a 4 terabyte drive that's about the same price as this absolutely tiny 1 terabyte Samsung T7 SSD at around $100. That's basically 4 times as much storage for nearly the same price. However, the difference between these two things is immediately obvious. This hard drive is big and clunky. Now, this is of course the 4 terabyte version. The 1 terabyte version comes in a slightly thinner package, but it's hard to compare it to this absolutely tiny SSD. Now, what's more amazing is the speed difference. This guy is slow, and I mean really slow. That's really the nature of a spinning drive in general. Now, I have my Mac backing up to this drive, and it really does feel like an overnight type of operation. However, with 4 terabytes at my disposal, it's really hard to pass up. So it's clear that these spinning hard drives are pretty much a killer deal in terms of just how much storage you get. But then, why would you ever want an SSD? Well, there are actually a couple of good reasons why. Speed is definitely the first factor you need to think of. Will you be accessing a lot of content continuously? For example, I use this SSD to transfer bits of data between my iPad, iPhone, and my Mac. These files range from simple images to massive videos that I sometimes even edit right off of this drive. I've had serious space issues on my Mac in the past, and I've tried to edit all of these videos off of this hard drive in the past, and let me tell you, it's the worst, most painful experience. In comparison, something like this SSD will get you easily nearly native performance to running the application straight off of your drive. The price that you're spending is really for the extreme speed difference that you're getting. Now, there's also the matter of reliability. The main point of an external hard drive is to be portable and dependable wherever you take it. However, a spinning drive, such as this guy here, feels ridiculous to stuff into a backpack sometimes. It's, first of all, large, and when it starts to spin, you can really feel the inertia on those discs. There's also a bit of babying that you end up doing naturally because it's a spinning drive, right? And you certainly don't end up doing that with a solid state drive. It's also rather loud. I have it sitting next to my Mac most of the time, and when it turns on, it just kind of sounds about as loud as the Mac would have been if the fans were at full blast, which is to say, not very loud, but also kinda annoying. Now, of course, it's a very minor nitpick, but it's certainly something that some people may want to keep in mind. In a quiet room, you'll definitely notice this bad boy. Where's the SSD? This SSD, on the other hand, is completely dead silent, since, there's nothing actually moving. Because of the same fact, it's also much more reliable to just drop into your backpack, since you can't really damage any of the internal components. In the past, there were some fears about writing too much data, but nowadays, these drives are capable of writing hundreds of terabytes of data. That being said, they can still fail, and unlike a hard drive, dealing with an SSD failure is significantly worse than dealing with a hard drive failure. In a world where most people are shouting SSD from the rooftops, an external hard drive such as this big chunker here can feel a little out of place. However, when you have a lot of data that you need to deal with, there's really nothing better than a good old-fashioned spinning drive. Thanks for watching this short YouTube video. I've got a bunch more videos planned, so make sure you get subscribed for more. There's also a like button for you to smash, so make sure you hit that too. Anyway, I'm gonna head on out of here now, and I'll see you in the next video.